This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. The government spokesperson Isaac Mwaura is urging Kenyans to avoid planned protest over rising fuel prices. In a statement on Monday, Mwaura warned that the country is still recovering from about 6 billion Kenya shillings in losses from last year's demonstrations, adding that more protests could worsen the situation. This comes over fears of potential nationwide protests set for today over the cost of fuel.
Wakati wa maandamano ambao tulikuwa na tunataka kukashifu mambo ya maandamano, wala naitisha maandamano kesho, sijui Juni na kadhalika, tulipoteza zaidi ya shilingi bilioni 6 kulingana na takwimu za KRA. Sasa hiyo itasaidia Wakenya na itapunguza bei ya mafuta, itaharibu zaidi uchumi, itaharibu uwekezaji, itahakikisha kwamba watoto wetu hawapati ajira. Na hawa ndio vijana wetu ambao tunawazungumzia kwa sasa hivi tukidai kwamba tunaweza kuwasaidia.
President William Ruto has hailed Kenya-Italy relations, describing them as strong and mutual beneficial. Speaking on Monday in Rome during a joint press briefing alongside Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, President Ruto said Kenya is pleased to be part of the first phase of the Mattei Plan for Africa. He noted that the partnership between Kenya and Italy will foster cooperation and enable both countries to co-create solutions for shared development goals.
We're very happy that Kenya is part of the first phase of the Mattei Plan, which, in your own words, Madam Prime Minister, is a relationship that is mutually beneficial between Africa and Italy, between Kenya and your great country, that helps us to co-create solutions for the challenges that we have and to work in a manner that is mutually beneficial to all of us.
Junior secondary school teachers in Tharaka Nithi County have issued a warning that they will boycott classes next week if the government fails to confirm those current serving as interns into permanent and pensionable positions. The teachers say they have been working under the internship program for a long time and want job security, better pay and full employment terms.
Kuanzia tarehe 1 Disemba, walimu walihamishwa kutoka katika Minet na wakaingizwa katika SHA. Na hili lilikuwa shinikizo la rais wa taifa yeye mwenyewe. Tunataka kukujulisha Rais Ruto ya kwamba SHA ni mtoto wako ambaye ulitia mimba, lakini hii mimba imeharibika. This is a total miscarriage. Ndio maana tunasema sasa tunataka tupewe ile medical cover ambayo inafaa walimu. Hawa walimu wamechoka kutumia mitishamba. Hawa walimu wamechoka kutembelea waganga.
President Donald Trump says the United States will not lift its blockade on Iranian ports until a deal is reached with Iran. The blockade, which started a week ago, is putting heavy pressure on Iran, with Trump saying the U.S. is ahead in the conflict. This remarks comes as a temporary ceasefire between the U.S. and Israel is set to end on Wednesday, with uncertainty over whether new peace talks in Pakistan will take place. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
There was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
A very good morning to you. How are you doing? This is Radio Generation, the People's Breakfast on 88.8 FM in Nairobi, 90.7 in Mombasa, and 89.5 in Garissa. City, good morning. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you, Mbuvi. I am well, thank you.
After nilipark gari, nikashuka ndio niweze kuingia katika building. Nikapatana na fan. Akaniambia, good morning, Alex Mwakideu.
So Alex, ujambo lakini.
Ule co-host wa Alex anaitwa nani?
Sijui.
Nafaa kumtafuta nikuite. But yes, I'm very okay. So I told you, nikamwambia niko salama sana lakini mimi naitwa Mungala Mbuvi. Akaniambia lakini you worked with him Kaambia no. Do I look like Alex? See, Alex is lean.
No, you do not look like Alex Mwakideo.
Alex pia ni mrefu kidogo.
Yes.
Alex hana nywele, or rather he keeps short. I think no, is he bald?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Unajua kuna siku nyingine nilipatana na mwingine kitambo lakini sasa akanambia Willis Raburu. Nikamwambia good. Ilifika mahali nimeachanga kucorrect watu. I just flow. Yeah.
Believe me.
Edna ananiambia Alex hana nywele. I believe you.
Alichukua nywele yake akapeleka wapi?
Si mtu enda kwa kinyozi bro.
Hiyo tu ndio ilifanyika.
Well, I think, I'm not sure, I don't know. Yeah, but I usually meet Alex once in a while. We shop in the same shopping complex and mall, so we usually find ourselves once in a while. Tunapatana akiwa na watu wake na mimi napatana na nikiwa na watu wangu, tunasalimiana, tuna exchange maneno kidogo, tunakumbatiana, tunaambiana bro kofiti kazi safi, pia kazi safi, naambia good. And then but in all honesty, actually I did work with him before, but not same station, but same media house. Yeah, cool guy, awesome person. Jamaa anakuanga na roho safi sana. Sasa kama uko na nini zawadi ya Alex, tafadhali wewe nitumie tu, itamfikia au sio?
Singili mbele.
Tumesema umekuwa fiti?
Mimi niko mzima nashukuru.
Good stuff. Sasa leo ni 21st of April 2026.
Mwaka ndio baba.
Yes.
Iko mbioni mwaka.
Yeah, but the time inakimbia bro. Inakimbia mbio tena sana, and there's nothing we can do about it. Tunasema tu shukran because after all you make good of what you have, including the time. Now, this is what happened significantly in history today. In 753 BC, 753 BC, they usually say before Christ, right? According to legend, Romulus founded Rome. Yeah, in 753 BC, a person called Romulus apparently founded Rome.
Do you know the story of Romulus and Remus?
The what now?
Romulus and Remus.
No.
Twins. The legend is that they were brought up by a wolf. Legend. Ni hadithi bwana.
Of course.
Ndio.
Lazima ikwe story noma ndio watu waseme wow.
Bwana hao jamaa mazee si watu wa kawaida hao bwana.
So their mother gave birth to them, then wolves took over.
Walikuwa abandoned ndivyo, so the wolf one she wolf, a wolfess took over.
Okay. Well, also in 1909, Theodore Roosevelt arrives in Mombasa to begin his African expedition.
Alienda safari.
Wazungu wanakujanga huko nasema, oh my God, look at that elephant, my God. You guys live next to lions? Like, oh my God.
Safari ilikuwa zamani hizo kushoot these animals, ujue. Sio tunaweka tu.
Walikuwa nakam kuzimada.
Yes, walikuwa kuja kuzigenocide.
It was called what? Sport hunting.
Well, yeah. And the people who oversaw it were professional hunters. Yes. They were licensed.
Yes.
Ilikuwa tu ni biashara watu wanafanya, ni kama matatu driver anapewa license.
Yeah. There's a country that is currently doing that, licensing people.
South Africa does it. Tanzania does it.
If I'm not wrong, Namibia also does. Is it Namibia?
I don't know much about Namibia. Yes, because sometimes when the animals, there's this term that is used for reducing the population. Wajule birth control.
Culling.
And they mashika sana. Sasa wana cull hizi wanyama. So there are a lot of people like hunting who feel that they need to shoot other animals dead. Wanaruhusiwa kuja kushoot hizi animals dead.
Yeah. Kuna president fulani was on the spot either last year or the year before that. Yeye alisema bana, kujeni huku mfanye hunting, kill our elephants, because was saying these animals are too many, these elephants were too many, and he was under the spot scrutiny or whatever, because people are saying that the African elephant population is reducing. You are telling people to come and kill it. Well,
the African elephant population in other parts of the continent are reducing. In his country, they were not. Yes, so wache kutuambia story nyingi.
Yeah.
Kama jamaa wameua elephant zao si wamemaua wakazimaliza. Yes.
So imepata the countries that are currently doing sport hunting: South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Uganda. These are the animals that are targeted, include the big five, that is the lion, the leopard, rhino, elephant and buffalo.
Buffalo tend to be in large numbers, I can understand. Rhinos, because that population is reducing seriously.
Yeah. Ninyo, yeah, elephant. Yeah, rhino.
I know.
There
are species that are extinct.
Right.
Leopard.
The white lion, I think, is on, not the white lion. White rhino. That's the one that is the last
Leopard,
one died
I don't
recently.
understand. In fact, that's one of those animals. It's a secretive animal. The numbers are not very certain. So why would you allow people to kill an animal that, what are you killing it for? They're not even meant to begin with.
Nilikuwa naangalia, if I'm not wrong, sasa places kama Uganda, depending on the animal that you target, pesa inakuanga kiwango fulani.
Yes.
So for example, a leopard inaweza kuwa ni say $10,000 one animal. So if you do 2, my friend, that's 20,000.
Still, I don't know why you want to kill that particular animal and they're not large in numbers. What are you culling? Yes, there are things I don't understand.
Buffalo, I think, ndio the cheapest unika ng'ombe kwa kila mahali.
Na wako wengi.
Unaweza pata hiyo kiwa moja, hiyo ni kama you are charged maybe $2,000 to put it down.
Actually, they charge you a lot more than that. Hiyo 10,000 ndio hiyo buffalo. Si waambia watu wildebeest. Wao ni wengi.
Hizi zenye zina cross pale Mara.
Wale.
You need to protect those animals. Actually, I am not for that sport hunting. I am for let these things just be.
You can't. For the simple reason that we human beings have been encroaching on the environment of these animals for a very long time.
Right.
And our encroachment is what is reducing the population of these animals. They are crossing parts that animals have had. Let's not go far. Hapa Kitengela watu wanaishi. There's a path that the animals have used for centuries and for eons and eons.
Yes.
We're going to build factories there.
Yes.
So where do you think these animals are supposed to go to? Okay. There are places where animals have done the same thing. If you're going towards Kajiado, you're going to build flats. Where do you want these animals to go to?
Yeah. Kuna sehemu zingine na huko za mlongo huko unasikianga haina usiku.
Hapa ukienda hapa Thika, ukielekea ninio. Haina za common. Sisi ati ni kitu kushangaza.
Actually, hizo side za mlolongo huko interior mali watu wananuanga mashamba huko, mali pia kuna huanga na some conflict because of those same shambas. Kuna huanga na advisory. Ukilewa usiku, walk in at least a pair. And kitu isikudanganye ati ubeleki, unajua kubeleki. Don't pass out while on your way home because those animals will feed on you. People have been found dead in the morning. You just find pieces of human flesh or maybe even their bones because mtu alilewa, ametoka kunywa changa yake, mali ametoka kunywa changa, staggered home, akaamua hizi fika nyumbani, akaamua acha nilale hapa I sober up, haina inampata, and then they feast on him.
What happens with these things, Paul, is this, there is a complete other disregard for the planning that exists, or there is no planning. When we plan, I'm not talking about human habitation. We must plan for these animals as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, something also that happened in history, before I forget, nani ameniambia, dada yetu hapa Edna ameniambia, hainas in Kisii ni nyang'au.
In Kisii, everything begins with an E.
I wish ningejua na hiyo accent. Niseme na hiyo accent hiyo kwa fani.
Kwao, everything ends in E.
Mbarambamba.
Egusi.
Egusi is that soup from Nigeria.
Mulize.
Edna, egusi is a Kisii word? No, she's saying no.
See, where she comes from is not a word.
Alafu ameniambia co-host wa Alex anaitwa Mwashumbe. So kutoka leo to that fan that I met, wewe ni Mwashumbe.
I know Mwashumbe. Mwashumbe used to work for Radio Maisha.
Yes.
I know him.
Okay. Something else that happened in 1966, Ethiopian Emperor Haile Selassie the first visits Jamaica, celebrated as Groundation Day. So 1966, King Selassie went all the way to jam down Jamaica. So that day is known as Groundation Day. Are we going to Jamaica anytime soon, City?
No.
We should. I think I will.
Unatuende? Fine nini?
Wewe kwanza unakaa tu msi wa kukaa pale hivyo tu Kingston, Jamaica. Na mimi ukienda kuambia tu watu mimi ni mjukuu wako na kufanya translation kama nimekelea. Unajua wanapendanga kwa mikono hivi.
Sasa wewe ukiwa mjukuu wangu, it means what, I got married at the age of 12.
The point here is it you know what, give us our methali for today.
All right. The most extensive land. This is a proverb, by the way, from the Republic of Uganda.
Right. Is
Rwanda.
it Uganda or Rwanda?
Forgive me.
Yes.
Rwanda.
Uganda is last week.
Yes. It was the last week.
Yes.
So
This week is Rwanda.
The most extensive land is the human belly.
The most extensive?
Land.
Shamba.
Is the human belly.
Yani mugoda.
Yes.
Oh, mugoda ni huyo. The most extensive human land. Say it again, please.
The most extensive land, just land, is the human belly.
Why would they say that?
IGB.
Oh, unakulanga tu.
Unakula kidogo, mara unataka kula tena, mara
kesho unakula.
Na
kesho
siku.
kutwa.
Yes.
For as long as you're alive.
Unakula tu. Yes, it's extensive. Si ni kweli? Sasa wewe ask yourself what it is about this country and the concept of land grabbing. Mtu akona ardhi tayari anataka ingine. Anataka kununua.
Kuna mwanamuziki actually umesema hivi nikakumbuka. Kuna mwanamuziki wa Ukambani aliimba hivi akasema ewe ya kukomwa tu iyo le ya kubona. Hii tumbo yako kwani is it a beehive? Hii yenye nakataa kushiba. That's the translation.
So that man was a poet. Alikuwa ndo nani?
Sijui, nitauliza madhe. Mamangu ndiye anajuanga wasanii wote. But yes, so when I connected with that Rwandese proverb, I think the Rwandese and the Kamba people met somewhere and probably had this discussion.
Yes, they probably did. They probably did.
Or this Kamba artist borrowed that proverb and made a song out of it.
Believe me, communities in Africa share very many things and have many things in common.
I like it. So the most extensive land is a human belly.
Extensive land
is a human belly.
The human belly.
Inapenda kukula sana.
IGB.
Na pia ina producing sana.
Yeah, pana seba.
All right, let's get on to that website that is radiogeneration.co.ke. And as you do that, MC Tonji says, good morning. Let me find his text. Checking in from Muhoroni. Your cousin has checked in, so big shout out.
Nephew, probably.
Yeah. I think this is your cousin.
All right, since you know all my relatives, yes, that is my cousin.
Yes. There's a story here written 17 minutes ago by Tanya Wanjiko. Senate demands investigations as audit uncovers deep flaws in county spending. But this has been happening for a very long time.
No. It continues to happen. That's the thing you need to bear in mind.
Right.
Amidst everything that we see, and amidst all the narratives that we keep reading about and hearing about, the story of the mismanagement of the funds sent to our counties is a growth industry. Inaendeleaga ikiendelea.
So wamesema nini kuhusu hii story? Tusome. County governments are under renewed pressure after the Senate moved to trigger investigations into how billions of shillings were handled following an audit that exposed the irregular spending, missing funds and weak financial controls across several devolved units. Remember, City, I was asking you early on,
yes,
how does development look like? Or rather, how should development look like in a county?
Do you know how very, very, very serious that question is? Because people talk development. What do they mean? Is it roads?
Is it buildings?
Is it yes, buildings? That is a certainty.
Yeah.
You know, we have development. We have schools.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true. You do. If there is a deficit of learning facilities and there are learners willing to learn,
yes,
then that is a lack of development. If there are roads that people are willing to traverse and the roads are impassable, then you have no development. But what I find that is lacking is not what we are saying here. What I find that is lacking is the consistency with which the county governors do not seem to have a plan to stimulate economic growth.
Yes.
That's what I find a crying shame. Yes.
So a report by the Senate County Public Accounts Committee has called on the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations to examine the conduct of county officials, recover lost money and ensure those responsible are held to account. Unaona hapo kwa recover lost money, I think that's very important. Yeah. So the report by Senate Accounts Public Accounts Committee has called on the Ethics and Anti-Corruption. Hapo kwa Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission ndio sijui kama kuna kitu kitafanyika. Hapo sioni. But hapo kwa DCI, I believe and I feel like the DCI have got more teeth, perhaps even sharper teeth than EACC.
But DCI, if something doesn't move, they've been interfered with.
Because their work is literally to investigate.
Believe me, they work, and if they're not working, they have been interfered with. Orders have come from the above. Unasikia ile above?
Ile above tunasikianga.
Ile above. Imetoka huko. And that is what has caused the hiccup. But they do their work.
Matiang'i alisema kwa ile interview alifanya on Sunday, akasema ya kwamba if we interfere less with these institutions, they can actually work.
He should know, shouldn't he?
Akasema Mohamed Amin, mdosi wa DCI, akasema huyu ni mtu mwenye akona ilitoji track record mzuri sana as far as performance is concerned. Akasema pia Nurdin Haji wa NIS, huyu ni mtu ambaye anajua kazi yake because amemjua kutoka kitambo hata before kwa NIS, wakati alikuwa ODPP and even before.
He was in NIS before he went to ODPP.
And then akapoint out nani pia, akapoint out IG Kanja. Akasema IG Kanja is probably one of the his words, one of the best cops if not the best. So akasema how to say ati kazi yao, shida inakuanga interference.
Well, yes, indeed. When he was Minister for Interior. Did we not hear? As I said, he should know. He knows. There's an understanding, there's a situation, there's a way in which there are those who are in positions of authority and power would like the matter to go.
Yeah.
And then instructions are given.
Mimi sorry. Tunajuanga pesa zimepotea. Tunasikianga na tunaambiwa okay, hii county
pesa ipotee.
But unajua Kenya maanisha city. Unasikia hii county for example ilipatiwa 9 billion. Out of that 9 billion, 5 they can tell like with certainty where it is.
Waliajiri watu kazi.
But the remaining 4 they have absolutely no idea. Then they tell you the county ilikuanga na 10 accounts.
Sasa
100 accounts.
Mtu anakuambia develop in the county. When we came, there were 10 accounts. Now we have 100.
Yes.
Mnafanya nini?
So with that kind of information, because if it were Paul Mungala movie, I am sure I would be in cuffs somewhere, Central Police Station, as we await further investigations.
This amount of money that most of our governors get, it overwhelms them. And part of the reason why it overwhelms them, they treat it as their own personal money. It's like we haven't evolved to the stage where in a position of leadership you fail to actually internalize the simple fact that you are a custodian and that the money that is there is for the citizens and you are there to ensure you are entrusted with the custodianship of that particular money. Our governors, as well as those in authority within the national government,
yes,
many of them think it is their own money, which they can do it as they see fit. But the employment of people as a way of creating development is a surest sign that we actually elect people who have absolutely no clue whatsoever of how it is you can grow an economy. The lazy approach of employing people, the very money which is supposed to be the seed capital for the growth, you're paying people salaries. What for? What for?
All right, on to another story. This one is a couple of minutes old. It's by Tanya Wanjiku. Tim Cook steps aside as Apple names John Tennis as next chief executive. Do you know Tim Cook? Tim Cook.
Kwani alikuwa anaishi wapi?
Ni wa mtu huko Amerika huko.
Nilikuwa nafikiri jamaa alikuwa amelelewa hapa Kenya. Unataka kuniambia kwao
ni kule Amerika kule kwa President Trump. Tim Cook ni mdosi wa hii kampuni inajulikana kama Apple. Well, now he has stepped down and they have named a new CEO. Tim Cook has overseen everything since Nani died. Why am I forgetting his name? This guy who
mzee wapo.
Nasahau jamaa kwa nini bana, this is wrong. But let me read the story because I'm sure jina kitatokezea mahali hapa. Apple is ushering in a new era after announcing that John Tennis will take over as chief executive, bringing to a close Tim Cook's long-running leading the global tech firm. The transition is set for 1st September, with Cook remaining in charge in the coming months to guide the handover before stepping into the role of executive chairman. The leadership shift comes after years of steady growth under Cook. who assumed control of the company in 2011 following the resignation of co-founder Steve Jobs due to illness. Steve Jobs ndio huyo sasa. Now Cook will stay on through the summer to work closely with Tinas, or is it Tanas, and ensure a smooth transition, after which he will assist with certain aspects of the company, including engaging with policymakers around the world. Yeah, his exit from the chief executive position follows sustained talk that Apple was preparing for a new leader. During his time in charge, Cook oversaw a dramatic rise in the company's value, including a milestone in 2018 when it became the first public traded firm to hit $1 trillion valuation. Today, the company is valued at $4 trillion, cementing its position among the most powerful businesses globally. Do you know which other company is worth trillions? There's a company called Nvidia. They make graphic chips.
Sorry. Chips.
Graphic chips, yes.
Graphics. Chip ambayo kama memory chip namna hiyo.
But hii sasa ni graphics. Graphics ndio inasaidia computer ama hata simu
kuchora
ziweze kufanya those heavy tasks that require a lot of visuals and
visuals.
That's why it's called graphics.
So right? Jamani wanatengeneza hizo chips.
Nvidia ndio wanatengeneza hizo chips.
Now who owns it? Wachana the owner.
Yes.
But it's worth trillions.
It's worth trillions. It is worth trillions.
Na hii kampuni ambayo tulikuwa tunajua ya kompyuta inaitwa Microsoft.
Ya Bill Gates. Hiyo bado iko, but haijafika that kind of valuation. It could be worth trillions, I'm not sure.
Ilifika.
Yeah. But it's hiyo anakuambia Nvidia right now it's the top most.
Yani it's the number one. Imeenda ikienda.
They recently bought out some shares in this company called Nokia. Unajua Nokia?
Sini jamaa simu.
Ile ilikuwa ya simu.
What do you mean? I have a Nokia phone. So unaniambia ilikuwa ya simu.
You still use one right now?
Yes, even the one I'm using right now is a Nokia.
Is a Nokia?
Yes.
Unajua kuna wakati Nokia ilikuwa ngumu sana ungetumia simu kama weapon.
But I was saying ngumu, speak carelessly and see.
Yeah, so Nvidia is another company that is worth 5 trillion. It's the most it's the richest company right now as far as valuation is concerned. 5 trillion, my friend, si pesa kidogo. Apple coming in at number 4. SpaceX also iko mali hapo hivyo, inachezea pia trillion, iko juju kidogo. So these guys have got money like nobody's business. That's that as far as Tim Cook is concerned. What else is of importance here? Let me check. Korir and Lokedi earn 25 million each after Boston Marathon victories. Hawa ni marathoners. Twice in a row, long-distance runner John Korir on Monday successfully defended his Boston Marathon title, finishing in an unofficial time of 2 hours, 1 minute and 52 seconds. He beat the previous course record of 2 hours, 3 minutes and 02 seconds, set by fellow Kenyan Geoffrey Mutai in 2011, and is now a potential 25 million shillings richer. And in the women's category, another Kenyan, Sharon Lukedi, also claimed victory, clocking in 2 hours, 18 minutes and 51 seconds and earning the same prize money as Korir. Both athletes also broke the course records in their respective races. Yani si tu nakimbia tu hivi 25 million pop in 2 hours.
That is not how it works.
I know there's training.
Thank you very much. Over a long period of
there's
time.
There's a lot of blood and sweat.
Unaanza mahali, unaenda zile za ambazo zijulikani, pole rise. Then unafika ile stage.
Right.
Kuna timing yako where you can now compete in the arena where unatengeneza pesa.
Lakini city nonetheless 2 hours unafanya tu 25 million pop.
2 hours unafanya before doing ta. You need to go to Nandi and the Kapsabet area to see how these people train, to understand how very difficult it is and just the amount of training that takes place.
I don't even need to go to Nandi. I just need to walk out here and start running. And I'll tell you in 5 seconds how difficult it is.
Yes. Unajua, mimi kabla sijaona watu wakitrain, I thought I had an idea what the training was, and then it became apparent I had absolutely no idea. Morning, lunch, evening.
Oh, and let's talk about the diet. These guys eat a specific diet. They don't eat the usual smokies, sijima ipasua, the pizzas, and the burgers. They don't.
I remember seeing an incline that they climb. So when you mlima iko hivi bro, and you are sprinting up that thing. Now somebody wants to come and compete with this fellow.
Yeah.
On the world arena, and I'm looking, I'm saying, hey, weendelea tu kuota.
Yeah.
And the competition among themselves. There are those who argue that perhaps the most competitive arena is the Kenya Open. Here. The athletic championship of Kenya, where we now decide who's going to compete where.
Yeah.
It is by far the most competitive.
There's an athletics body authority that has denied some Kenyans the chance to cross over to Turkey. To gain Turkish citizenship and compete in the Olympics in 2027, I believe. Is it 27 or 28? The upcoming Olympics anyway. So imesemekana bana watu hawezi fanya nini? Hawezi change citizenship alafu wagombe wakati wa Olympics wa 2028.
Yani wawakilishe nchi nyingine sio?
Yeah, Turkey. Na ni wa Kenya. And I find that quite sad. I was listening to...
Did they give reasons as to why?
I'm sure they did. I found that debate on some radio station somewhere. So I just listened to it. Unfortunately, the presenters didn't really give the whole story. But they said, these guys have been denied the opportunity to compete in Turkey as Turkish citizens. And I said... I mean, I don't understand why. I'm sure there's a reason why. However, I believe they should be allowed.
That story is a story, but it would be nice to have the details.
Yeah.
Then we'd understand why. Because many of these people get such opportunities because they have agents. The agents are the ones who do the heavy lifting when it comes to the sort of documentation under discussion. Now, tutangoja tuone what will become of them.
Yes.
So,
here's a story. Let me just read it real fast. It's on our website on radiogeneration.co.ke. 5 Kenyan runners blocked from switching allegiance to Turkey. World Athletics has on Friday rejected applicants by 5 Kenyan athletes seeking to transfer their allegiance to Turkey. The athletes are part of a group of 11 who are now accused of attempting to switch nationality after being lured by more attractive and lucrative financial deals
so shida iko wapi
compared to their home countries.
Shida iko wapi?
Yeah, according to Jamaican journalist Kyron Rayner, Turkey is considering an appeal at the Court of Arbitration for Sport over the decision. Now, the Kenyan athletes involved include Bridget Kosgei, 2021 Olympic marathon silver medalist, and former world record holder Catherine Amanangole, a 2023 world half marathon bronze medalist. Nelvin Jepkemboi, Ronald Kwemboi, a 2024 Olympic 5,000 meter silver medalist, and Brian Kibor. World Athletics said the applicants or the applications were rejected as a group, ruling that they did not constitute independent individual requests. Instead, they were deemed part of a coordinated recruitment strategy aimed at attracting overseas athletes through lucrative contracts. I still don't see the problem.
So shida iko wapi?
Whether they came as a family, whether they came as individuals, as a group, they should be allowed, bwana.
These Mzungus are very strange people.
They should be allowed. Kama kuna pesa mzuri huko Turkey.
So what is wrong with somebody seeking better terms?
See, we have professionals here who go and work for other countries. Bro. We have Kenyans working for NASA. Na ndio walisaidia Temis kufika mahali ilifika huko kwa moon.
Unajua hii mambo, hii double speak, As a child when I used to read comics,
Yeah.
The comics that some of the ones we used to love reading were about the American Wild West and the Red Indian. And there's a phrase that stuck to my mind all these years, where a Native American who was then referred to as a Red Indian is saying, pale face speak with forked tongue.
Wanasema kitu moja wakimaanisha ingine.
Ikiendelea hivi. Because when you find somebody from a Caucasian from that western part of the planet Earth, coming to Kenya is an expatriate. Sisi
immigrants. Tukienda huko tunaitwa immigrants.
Na mara nyingine sisi ni refugee. So unashangaa unasema hii kitu ni
kitu ukipatana na mzungu huko, he is an expatriate.
Yes.
Wewe ukipatikana huko uko na makaratasi, wewe ni immigrant.
So unajua Let's look for something else to discuss.
All right, let's actually discuss the traffic. Hapa kuna barabara inajulikana kama Mombasa Road. Mombasa Road iko sawa, iko nywe, iko swafi, but it's wet. It's been raining for the last couple of hours, so be careful when you're driving down the roads this morning. Ngong Road as well, looking good, but it's equally wet. And if you do not have good lights, kuna vile unaweza jipata manze umeingia kwa ditch. And sometimes it rains really heavily and you can't tell where the road begins, where it ends. So be very careful about that as well. Arguings Kodhek iko sawa. Ukielekea sehemu ya Yaya Center, huko Kofiti. Gitanga Road as well, moving quite well. Kikambala, Dennis Prit. Ngong Road, joining Valley Road, also looking fantastico. Kuna hii barabara inajulikana kama Raila Odinga Way, pia iko sawa kabisa. Ukielekeza sehemu za T-Mall, uingie wapi? Uingie South Sea Estate, huko Quarter na Ruby West kuko sawa. And even as you're exiting to join Langata Road, from either exit, you're moving quite well at this particular hour. Magadi Road, watu wanaenda huko. Wanaenda wapi huku? Kunajulikana kama Ongata Rongai Africa Nazarene University, huko ndani kuko sawa. On the other side, as you're coming from Karen Blixen, joining on to any of those roads, you're also moving quite well. Southern Bypass also looking clean this particular hour. Watu wa Mombasa Road mkipita huko Southern Bypass mwende mkashikane na huko Capital Center, kila kitu kiko shwari. Lusaka Road, watu ambao wanaingia CBD pia kwa sasa iko sawa. Kuna ka red line hapa. Hii barabara ni gani? Heli Salasi. Watu ambao sasa wametoka sehemu zote za Nairobi wakiingia katika jiji la Nairobi, naona ya kwamba kuna msongamano wa magari pale mkiingia katika town, lakini zaidi ya hapo mnasonga vyema. Landis Road pia naona iko swafi, lakini hiyo ni kutoka sehemu ya Pumwani Road. Ukishaingia pale sasa mahali na join barabara kubwa ya si kubwa sana, Rescos Road, hapo kuna ka traffic kidogo. Watu wa Isiliba hali yake naona iko sawa kabisa. Mnasonga vizuri, iko sehemu ya BBS Mall, naona barabara iko shwari, kama watu habana ingia kwa barabara, so that's quite fine. Karioko Market, that entire stretch is looking fantastic. Thika Super Highway, pale Pangani, usual suspect hapo kumeshikamana. As you're driving past though, everything looks fantastico. If you're coming from Ruiru, if you get to Kenyatta University, a little bit of traffic there, but it's because that's a major stop for folks who want to come to the CBD. Beyond that, you're moving quite well. If I go over to Mombasa County haina shida yoyote. Naona kwa leo mnasonga vizuri. Naona barabara za Tononoka, Nyali Bridge kule kote, actually this looking green. That means that you guys are moving quite well. A little bit of traffic pale mwembe tayari mahali napatana na Biashara Suite, lakini zaidi hapo mko sawa kabisa.
Traffic on Radio Generation.
Tuingie moja kwa moja katika magazeti. Tuanze na Taifa Leo. Wanasema hapa mbele, Kindiki njia ya Ruto mlimani. Hilo ni swali ambalo wanauliza, na wamempiga picha pale naibu wa rais Profesa Kithure Kindiki katika hafla fulani mwaka wa jana. Kuna ka excerpt hapa mwisho, anasema kikosi cha Ruto kimebuni mbinu mbalimbali za kujaribu kuimarisha ufuasi wake 2027 Mlima Kenya, eneo linaloegemea upande wa Gachagua, ili rais naye amuunge Kindiki mwaka wa 2032, that is 2032. Hiyo utaipata katika ukurasa wa pili. So they're saying Gachagua to support the president in 2027, then the president will support Kindiki. Did I say Gachagua? I meant Kindiki. Kindiki to support the president this time round, and then the president will support Kindiki in 2032.
If you were to go by what happened between Uhuru and Ruto, that doesn't seem to be a promise that has a precedence. Because come the 2022 election, the immediate former president supported Raila Odinga, ostensibly.
Na pia kuna mtu ambaye anajulikana kama Rais Kibaki. Sikumwona akimuunga naibu wake ambaye alikuanga at the time Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka.
No, he did not. He supported Uhuru instead.
Alisupport Uhuru, lakini hakuifanya openly.
Hakuja
kusema sasa mimi ningesema ya kwamba musipige Kalonzo, pigeni Uhuru.
That wasn't his style.
Yeah, nilikuwa na expect afanye hivyo. So do you think President Ruto, if if we were to go by this, he will actually do it?
That he would support Kindiki?
Yes.
I believe he could, yes. He could. To what end though?
Tumesikia mara mingi ya kwamba President Ruto anakuanga mtu faithful, loyal.
Watu ambao
he honors those personal relationships and promises.
Hiyo tumesikia.
So perhaps Gachagua angekuwa bado naibu wake sasa hivi na support beyond 2027. Do you think? Mbona una smile, City?
I'm smiling because as you're speaking.
Do you think if Gachagua were to be President Ruto's DP up until 2032, we would see a situation whereby President Ruto would say, "Huyu my friend ametosha bana"?
I'm smiling because even if Gachagua was still the deputy president,
Awoni.
That's why I'm smiling, because I'm trying to see it. Sioni, you know, our politics introduces a concept of contradiction that is very well, you need to see it to observe it. All right?
Yes.
To be able to fire the sort of comments and the sort of statements that are attributed to the former deputy president regarding Gachagua on a daily basis, it speaks of a certain mind.
Yes.
And it's a sort of mind that you underestimate at your own peril. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, it also speaks of a mind that is able to cause very big divisions among people. Politically speaking, that is not necessarily a negative thing. What is a problem is if his utterances amount to borderline hate speech, then you have a problem. If the utterances are borderline or direct profiling of individuals, then you have the makings of a situation that one must avoid at all costs.
Yes.
Because conflict is often started by words, the things that people say and how they say it. Okay?
Yeah.
But it also tells you that it's a very versatile mind. So you marvel and you ask, if this mind was actually focused on ensuring that this country moves forward, how far could it go? I'm comparing his utterances with that of William Ruto.
Okay.
Because when William Ruto parted ways with the president,
yes,
and William Ruto was now going about the country campaigning and gained the term Tanga Tanga, I do not recall of any sharp jibes that he issued against the president, but he spoke consistently, he spoke continuously in ways that sold his agenda, giving the impression that what the president was doing was not selling the agenda rather than failing the country. Now, the idea of someone's deputy campaigning literally against him, that particular example was set. So, Gachagua mirrors what it is that we saw. The only difference was the first term of Uhuru and Ruto didn't have any of those divisions. If they were, we didn't see them. And one has to ask what really brought about those divisions, because we're unclear. The narrative was that this man just keeps moving from place to place. He doesn't seem to be able to do anything or to sit down and do work. And I wonder, given the contradictions of our politics, whether that is actually true.
You see, President Ruto at the time when he was a deputy president, he had ambitions of being president of this country. And perhaps what we are seeing right now used to happen at that time. And maybe ilisumbua Uhuru alikuwa anamwambia, bro, you are all over bana. Can you just calm down? I need you to work. Then the guy was like, no, my friend, do you know this is your last term? But me, I'm looking ahead. And let's not forget that there's that issue of 2017 where it is rumored that President Uhuru almost gave up on this whole election, on the election at the time rather. He was like, my friend, hii kitu bana, kama imetupiliwa mbali, see, we might as well just move on. You know, perhaps it's time we just let this Raila fellow do his thing, and that perhaps didn't sit well with the Deputy President Ruto at the time. And let's not forget, after that there was a handshake, and perhaps Ruto was like, my guy, we are the ones who won this thing. Why are we inviting a third party at the table to enjoy the spoils that we have worked for?
You know, that narrative doesn't actually pan out if you look at the history. The disagreement between the President Uhuru and his deputy had begun long before 2017. That division was there before. You didn't need to be a keen observer of political matters to understand this.
Because perhaps when President Uhuru at the time started becoming, buddy with the late Raila Odinga, and then maybe some suggestions were being made about how they were going to share.
When did the buddy-buddiness begin? In the first term or the second term?
The second term now.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So it was not the first term.
So
I am saying the disagreements had arisen long before.
So you're of the opinion even before the election.
Long before the election, the divisions.
Yeah.
The cracks had already been seen.
So that's why Deputy President Ruto decided, you know what, clearly these fellows are probably hatching something towards 2022 and I'm not part of their plan. So let me sort myself out.
Actually, the cause and consequence. You see, why I'm drawing the parallel is this. We have a problem with our oil prices. Is it the reason for the mandamano, or is it the thing that is being used as an excuse for the mandamano which they've been spoiling for, but they did not understand? Say, okay, you fuel imetokea.
Mandamano for me is purely political.
Yes.
I mean, yes, we need to have this conversation around the high cost of living currently.
Yes.
We need to have a conversation around the cost of fuel for sure. And Kenyans need to understand for sure why what is happening is happening. Kenyans need to understand the G2G deal that we have been told by leaders that no one seems to know what it's all about. But 95% hiyo ni siasa.
Now you see, this is the interesting thing about life. Remember when we had the Sufria demonstrations and protests? Rigathi Gachagua was deputy president, and there are utterances he made. There are things that the police did and people suffered. What is the difference between the Sufria revolution and protests and this one? It's cost of living.
It is cost of living.
So we are back where we were in that previous regime, where the Sufria revolution protest and revolution. Revolution.
Usiogope kusema kama ni Mkikuyu acha itoke.
Itoke tu.
Revolution.
So
yeah.
We are not witnessing something that is new. Not really.
Okay.
But it forms the basis of the contradictions that I'm telling you. The things that we say when we're in position of authority and the things we say when we are not. And we're the same people. So is it that we've had a Damascus moment and we now see with clarity the thing which we opposed once, we now want to participate in because we see clearly. So what is it that we're seeing clearly? The contradictions of our politics in our utterances and in our deeds. Yes.
Okay. Acha nimalize hii ya Taifa Leo tuingie ile nyingine ya The Star. Umesema Tanzania UG ndio pia soko la pikipiki la wizi. Hii tulisoma jana. Hofu Amerika, Iran zikitoa vitisho tena. Iran yasema haitafanya mazungumzo zaidi na Amerika baada ya kutoa meli yake baharini. Damu freshi yatishia vigogo mwaka wa 2027. Ndini Nyoro na Sifuna ni kati ya viongozi vijana walio mwiba kwa vigogo wa kongwe. Hiyo utaipata katika ukurasa wa pili. Alafu pale juu wanasema ODM ya hidi uteuzi huru kura za 2027. Alafu watoto wakataza Jagina Luis Figo kutimua mama yao kwa udaku kuhusu wanaspoti matukio pamoja na habari za michezo. Soma Mwanaspoti katika ukurasa wa 13 hadi wa 20. Alafu nikikamata gazeti la Nyota aka The Star, they're saying billions, deadlines and dreams, Kenya's AFCON Stadium rush. A beautiful picture there of Talanta Stadium. Which way ODM? Internal rifts, UDA clashes, test party. So which way ODM? Internal rifts and the UDA clashes have tested ODM, right? Senate seeks EACC probe as counties fail to account for billions. Hiyo tumeiongelea pale katika radiogeneration.co.ke. Pain as household businesses hit by high prices of cooking gas. This one is on page 12. From Great Wall to Green Goals, Mudathir's journey of purpose. The story is on page 11 inside the Star newspaper. Last but not least, on the Standard, battle lines drawn. ODM has escalated its 2027 political positioning, rejecting zoning arrangements and vowing to field candidates from the presidency to the ward level, a declaration that intensifies its contest with UDA while exposing deep fault lines within the party over its relationship with President William Ruto, its participation in the broad-based government, and who ultimately controls its electoral strategy going into the next general election. That story is on page 4. ODM Secgen Catherine Romanya amesema we are going to field candidates from the presidency down to MCA positions, zoning or no zoning. We do not fear anyone. There you have it, City.
We don't fear anyone.
They don't.
Africa needs leadership that empowers followers, fosters ethical, socially responsible behavior, and builds trust. This is an article on intelligence by Caesar Mwangi. Caesar Mwangi ndio anayesimamia the faculty ya business at Strathmore University.
Are you okay, City?
I'm very fine.
Okay, sawa.
Nilikuwa napumua tu.
All right.
Manufacturers most pessimistic about growth on Iran shocks. Yeah. Executives in the manufacturing sector are the most pessimistic about economic growth over the next 12 months, a CBK survey shows. Okay. Treasury cuts net external borrowing by 61.6 billion. The Treasury has cut the net amount it expects to borrow from external lenders in the current financial year by 61.6 billion to 225.8 billion. Scale.
Yeah.
Right.
16.8 billion.
Yeah, ndio.
Okay.
Wamekata 61.6 billion wametoa yote.
Okay.
Yote sasa we're not borrowing, so hakuna interest ya kulipa hiyo kwa sababu tumeacha kuboro. Kenya plans to allow businesses to rent space in its diplomatic missions in 6 African countries in a policy shift aimed at easing reliance on exchequer funding. Tuko na buildings tulinunua hizo nchi na ni kubwa, iko na gorofa.
Yeah.
So instead of simply occupying everything, and we don't need to occupy everything, we will rent out some of that space to other people,
yes,
so that we can earn money. Right. Yeah. Broke jobless graduates and 90 billion help default. 281,450 former students failed to repay 39.63 billion. Auditor General says debts a threat to revolving fund. Okay, that is fairly straightforward. That is in the headlines. This is an ongoing story. It has been there for the longest possible time.
Yes.
Sawa.
Okay.
In the Daily Nation, Gachagua ratchets up pressure on fuel protests. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua yesterday warned President William Ruto to brace for street protests if the government does not implement measures to further reduce the fuel prices. He claims the prices can be reduced by half if profiteers are eliminated from the supply chain. Wonderful. How Iran war has hit tea industry. Kenya tea industry is facing mounting pressure from the Middle East conflict, with rising fuel costs set to escalate. Operational expenses for factories and shipping disruptions block tea worth billions of shillings from export. Scale. Shida mingi kubwa.
Right.
Mixed fortunes for Kenya police in mission in Haiti, otherwise known as Haiti. Winning hearts and minds. A recent UN report accused Kenyan police officers serving in a Security Council authorized mission in Haiti of involvement in sexual abuse. But in a vote of confidence, a leaked undated video circulating online appears to show Haitians erecting barricades to prevent the Kenyans continuing from leaving the war-torn nation, a rare show of support for a foreign force. So UN wana report hii, video inaonyesha hii. So ukweli uko wapi?
Ukweli uko kwa hapa.
Right. If the Haitians didn't want the Kenyans, we would have known.
Yeah. If the Haitians
did not want the Kenyans, we would have known.
In Haiti.
They would have reacted. I mean, this is a bandit economy. Gangs rule, gangs determine things.
Yeah.
If they were not making any progress, we would have known.
But Haitians, Americans did not want Kenyan troops, Kenyan police forces in Haiti.
They are the ones who pushed to have Kenyan forces in Haiti. Yes.
Kuna legislators huko walizusha sana akasema hapana, hii historia kutuma watu kwetu kidogo ni tricky.
Well, the question that one asked was, America is closer to Haiti than us. Why didn't they just send their own people? They had tried that in a time gone by with disastrous consequences.
Yeah.
Remember, this is the first black African nation to revolt against the colonizer, who were the French. And it was not a simple, quiet revolt where people were drinking tea and discussing how they should live. It was bloody.
Yeah. Bloodier than the Mau Mau.
Infinitely. Infinitely.
Okay.
And in the Mau Mau, please remember that the natives who are fighting the Mau Mau war more died than the so-called colonizer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sawa.
Colonizer waliokufa si wengi kama 26.
But ilifika mahali wakisema, oh my God, these barbarians, we just need to get out of here. They're going to finish us. I mean, like, really?
It was part of the policy, really, because the conversation about independence for nations that had been under the colonial rule of the British. There's a guy called Macmillan.
All right.
And the Winds of Change conversation that he had in Cape Town in the 50s was supposed to be the clarion call for this independence that was now looming. Whitehall had determined that this should happen.
Yeah.
Walikuwa wamekaa wakasema, nani?
Tuachilie Afrika waze kujitawala ili waze kujiplanda.
I think what they figured out was we can still exert influence without necessarily
Soft power, eh?
Yeah, they had figured it out. When people form something called the Commonwealth, and every nation that they had colonized is a member of it, and so are they, and you're happy to be a member. They even have sports, they have all manner of they even have a fund. Does that not tell you that these are clever people?
Yeah. You know, I sat down, I think I told you this, I sat down with a BBC journalist a couple of months ago, and he was doing like a survey on the soft power that the British people have actually exerted in Africa through their media, which is BBC and also other media, yeah? And my, oh my, we had a conversation for almost 2 hours, and let me not lie to you, bro.
You enlightened.
Watu hawajatoka huko.
Kutoka kwenda wapi?
Tuko nao pamoja bana, sako kwa bako.
Yes. Yes. And by the way, it is something that you can change and you can improve.
Yeah.
If you look at the colonization as a principle and as a thought process that is actualized, and you can easily see how that turns around over time.
Yes.
You can, and you can see how that relationship, which may have begun on the worst possible footing, then turns around to be something that makes that particular nation move ahead in ways they couldn't have.
And their biggest problem right now is the fact that that power that they have had and have enjoyed for, decades is now being taken over by the Chinese, and they are wondering how it is happening.
That was also a colony of theirs. The thing is this.
Yeah.
It is a cycle. And if you look at colonization right from the time of empires, and those who study it will tell you how the rot sets in.
Yeah.
They become wealthy, they become comfortable. And once they become comfortable, in some cases where they've colonized other nations, they assume the norms and the cultures of those nations. And the warlike nature that actually got them to be the colonizers ceases to be important. The key thing is to grow a homegrown class of individuals who have their values. And then they're never left, really.
Yes.
There is a headline in the Nation, why UN fears for this Kenyan's life.
Okay.
The Kenyan they're referring to is a gentleman called Clement Muiruri Kamau, a human rights activist who has been documenting alleged atrocities committed by the vast Del Monte pipeline pineapple plantation in Thika, and has reported persistent persecution. His case has drawn the attention of Ms. Mary Laulo, of the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights Defenders, who has petitioned the Kenyan government. The story is on page 4 and 5. There's an excerpt here. Similar letters addressing these issues are sent to the government of the United States of America and the president of the company of Del Monte, meaning they fear that this man's life may be in danger. There are people who do not like what he's doing, and because they don't like what he's doing, they may decide that it is best that he leaves this planet and go to another abode. There is that particular issue.
Okay.
Kamau says he has been threatened by police and senior state officials. Wewe Kamau, wewe
kidogo,
wewe
usituletee shida hapa wewe. Tutakufanyia kitu ambayo utapenda. All right, before we give in to the news, shout out to the following folks. John Mutua 5393 amesema good morning. Morning, my lovely RG. Tuning from Doha. Movie, tell CT I never made it to board. In next 2 months I will be back. John Mitua, karibu, tunakungoja. Douglas Kibogonga amesema morning generations locked in Perth. Karibu sana. Sungura wetu amesema imagine nilipatana na mtu akaniambia jambo mzee wangu CT. Sungura unakaa kama CT, unafanana CT. Luis Rudasingwa amesema good morning RG team. This is the lady I told you who is listening to us all the way from the land of 1,000 hills. Mwenye alisema alikushukuru sana ya kuongelea country ya Rwanda.
Asante.
David Magera amesema good morning CT and movie. I'm tuned in. Good morning David. John Goge amesema good morning RG radio. Wa Munyoro proverb, a bird that sits too long on top of a tree while making noises is inviting a stone. Real situation with ODM. We shall take that one as our cue to get into the news. When I come back, of course, nitasalimia wengine watu ambao wamebaki. Lakini kwa sasa, mbona msisikize hii taarifa?
This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. The Amnesty International Kenya is calling on the National Police Service to provide security for protesters during potential protest planned for today over the price of fuel. Amnesty says the Constitution gives Kenyans the right to protest peacefully, and police should protect, not stop, those exercising that right. The group also noted that protest notices are meant to help with safety planning and not seek permission. Controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie persistently discouraged eating, framing it as sinful. This emerged during a defense hearing in the Shakahola massacre at the Mombasa High Court, where an accused person in the case, Lucas Owino Ogok, told the court that followers were forced to fast, leading to over 400 deaths. The witness also said members were punished if they refused to fast, supporting claims of strict control and suffering within the group. The Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers in Machakos has warned that teachers will not report for new term beginning Monday, April 27th, 2026 if their concerns are not addressed. Led by Branch Secretary Von Musyoka, the union is calling for urgent action on key grievances, raising the possibility of a teachers' strike.
Maandamano hapa Machakos yanaanza on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday na Thursday na Friday kama ibada. Tutaandamana hadi serikali itusikize. Tumekuwa tumenyamaza tukiwapea nafasi ya kutafuta pesa, na sasa hivi hakuna pesa imetafutwa. Na maandamano yatakuwa mengi, pia SHA haifanyi kazi. Walimu wanapatiwa limit ya 1200. Hiyo ndio mnaita comprehensive cover. Sisi walimu tunasema kama si comprehensive cover turudishiwe Minet.
Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has announced a new 3-year action plan with Kenya, describing the country as one of the most dynamic and resilient economies in sub-Saharan Africa. Speaking in Rome in a joint press briefing alongside President William Ruto, Meloni said the partnership will be anchored on the Economic Partnership Agreement between Kenya and the European Union.
Technology is being transferred in many domains in Kenya, as it is the case in the tourism sector, where the presence of Italian companies contributes to an increasingly better position of Kenya as a tourist destination. There are many domains, for sure, where we can do even more, and our partnership can grow even more, from agro-industry, aerospace infrastructures, and energy, just to mention a few. And I'm firmly convinced that the business forum that will take place here in Rome, and I've been told that there will be many people attending on both sides, and we will be represented by the Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, Mr. Antonio Tajani. For sure, this will boost ever more our economic production and industrial cooperation, because our aim is that of growing together, favoring investments and establishing the conditions to create new jobs.
And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast, your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
Good morning and welcome back to Radio Generation. This is the People's Breakfast. My name is Mungana Mbuvi. I'm with City Muge in the studio. We're also joined by two guests. I shall be introducing them shortly. But as I do that, nimesema nitasalimia watu kadhaa hapa hivi. John Gugi, good morning. Sam amesema Mwa Mukata, have a blessed day. Well, Sam, good morning to you too. Mwa Mukata is Kikamba for umeamkaje City.
So nyinyi mkiamka mnauliza mtu vile amekata.
Si ndio? Hapana, venye ameamka. Alex Gioka amesema good morning Radio Generation. Maya Angelou once said, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. That's very true. Robert Mbogo, good morning from Mombasa. Good morning to you too Mwambaje Robert Mbogo. Job Kola amesema za asubuhi wenzangu, hatua njema kutoka kwa Senate, lakini MCAs wangepata kama ile ya ngaf ama NGCDF ili governors wapewe kiwango kinachotoshana na wao, kwa manake ile iko mikononi mwao ni kama inawazidi. You think so?
Yes, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
When you find the flow of indictments, literal indictments that the Auditor General poses by way of what you call an audit query, and the consistency of it,
right?
Clearly, there's an incapacity somewhere. See, the governors, by and large, seem not to be able to cope well with the amounts of money that they are asked to superintend and to manage on behalf of the constituents of their various countries, counties rather.
So tugawie MCAs pesa kidogo.
Bro, if you have MCDF, give the MCAs money for development. Let the people who elect them at that level judge them, because you are expecting the county governments to be able to do this, isn't it? Are they doing it? No. But then again, lawama kwa MCAs. They are the ones who in the assembly, the ones who determine how these things happen.
Okay.
Or are we saying that we elect a sort of people who don't even understand budgeting and don't even understand the ramifications of that budget and how it affects the wards that they come from?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Then we also have Ramadan amesema good morning Paul and City, greetings from London. Greetings from Nairobi, Ramadan. Hesbon Sidon, traffic updates ya Kisumu City, traffic updates ya Kisumu City please Mbuvi, ni kubaya. Haya, ndakupatia tu sasa hivi. Valentina amesema Rigi G went too quickly. Ann amesema good morning team RG, so glad to be here this morning. At City umeita she wolf wolfess. Okay. Morris Andate amesema good morning guys, and then we have Papa Ogutu anasema Nakuru is fine. Eunice Kyoko amesema county 016 is locked in. Unajua county 016 ni gani?
I have really no idea.
Inaitwa Machakos County.
That's wonderful, isn't it?
Alafu Peter Ogore ametusalimia pia. Peter, good morning. Niangalia Kisumu City hapa, ninaona kuna place inaitwa Kisian. Hiyo barabara inakaa iko sawa.
Ndio Kisian.
Ni Kisian.
Yes.
Central Kisumu, hiyo barabara yote iko that area barabara za huko ziko sawa. Naona mkitoka pale Kisumu International kuko sawa, hakuna traffic. Manyata pia naona iko sawa, hiyo side yote ya Masaria naona kuko sawa.
It's too early for traffic.
Central Kolwa naona kuko sawa. Kuna place inaitwa Molem naona iko tu sawa.
Hakuna traffic saizi bro.
Hii area yote inaitwa Orongo ama sijui ni Orongo, hiyo area yote iko tu sawa. So unless kuna mali specific ndugu yangu umeona kuna traffic, utuambie ndio tuweze kuambia watu, kama vile jamaa wa Nakuru ametuambia kuna potholes, alafu tutaweza kufocus. So sio. All right, let's get down to business. In this hour, we want to talk about mediation and foreign direct investments, the economic transformation driver in Kenya. With us is James Mangerere. He's a senior advocate of the High Court and president of MTI East Africa. He's also joined by Victor Emmanuel Aligo, mediator, negotiator, and dispute system designer. Gentlemen, a very good morning to you and welcome to Radio Generation.
Thank you. We're glad to be here.
Yeah, karibuni sana. Before we get down to business, City yako na proverb angependa kuwapatia, alafu mtuambie kile mnafikiria juu ya hiyo proverb. And as a matter of fact, we shall start with you because at least he's been here before. You are here for the first time, so we'll give you first dibs on the interpretation. So City, over to you.
Our proverbs for the whole of this week come from the Republic of Rwanda. The most extensive land is the human belly.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
The most extensive land is the human belly.
Yes.
Is it difficult to satisfy human needs? That's what comes to mind. That human needs can be very...
Did you make a statement or are you posing a question?
Complex.
Yes.
And satisfying everybody's need is not a walk in the park. That is what is coming to my head.
It's not an easy task, eh?
It's not an easy task.
Yeah. All right.
Did
James.
I pass the test?
Oh, it isn't a test. It isn't a test. What we do here is to try and determine just the diversity of interpretation that people have for that same proverb.
All
because with proverbs, this isn't an exam that is out of 100 or out of 10. No. Your interpretation is your interpretation. That's how you resonate with the proverb.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
James, over to you.
Yeah.
What do you think of that proverb?
I think they always say that where I come from, that the stomach is like a dog. It's insatiable. You keep on feeding it every day, and nobody has ever said that since I ate yesterday, I cannot be able to eat today. And that's why I think the word extensive comes from. If we were to eat once like a python, a python once it swallows an animal,
Yeah.
can stay for a few months without eating. I think we will not be waking up very early and going back to work. The reason why we are early in the morning right now, heading to work, is because the stomach keeps on asking every day. And that's where the word extensive comes from. Yeah.
All right. Victor, maybe you can help us understand what a dispute system designer does or what that rule is all about.
Oh, thank you. It's just a fancy term, right? A dispute system designer does three things. One, you help societies, organizations, communities prevent disputes that can be prevented. Two, manage disputes that can be managed. And last but not least, resolve disputes that you can resolve.
Okay.
That's in simple, plain language what a dispute system designer does. So I work with various actors or various entities. This could be communities, this could be organizations, this could be governments, helping them prevent disputes that can be prevented, manage disputes that can be managed, and lastly, resolve disputes that can be resolved. That's what I do.
Yeah. So you mediate.
And I mediate and negotiate as well.
Right.
Right.
How long have you been doing this for?
I've been doing this for close to a decade right now.
Wow.
And guess who trained me? Who opened my eyes?
Let me guess. It's definitely not City Muga.
You're absolutely right.
Could it be James?
That's James Mangerere.
Right. He's the one who trained you and got
Trained
into
me
this
and
business.
opened my eyes into this amazing world. And ever since, I've been a student of the game.
So before that, what did you do?
I went to law school.
Right.
And I did practice for 1 year, but I wasn't getting the kind of fulfillment or rewarding experience that I thought I would get. And so mediation came to mind.
Yeah.
And prior to that, actually, before going to law school, during my formative years, I always looked up to men like Dr. Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, who in so many ways used this amazing art of mediation to bring their people together and, most importantly, pick up their societies which were broken pieces and made a masterpiece out of these pieces.
Yeah.
And in everyday That's what mediators do. We pick up pieces of families. We pick up pieces of business ventures and work with the parties and try to put together a masterpiece.
Right.
And that masterpiece could be a solution. That masterpiece could be a handshake. That masterpiece could be a hug between a wife and a husband.
Yeah. Or a mother and the child. Because
Exactly.
we've seen a lot of those happening nowadays.
Absolutely.
Help us make a connection between mediation and foreign direct investment.
Great question. We all agree that there is a close relationship between rule of law and investment. Any rational investor is not likely to put the money in a country where the rule of law is fragmented.
True.
That is one. Number two, emerging practice, an emerging study, and maybe at some point we'll get into the facts and data by the World Bank, state that countries that have robust ace of commercial dispute resolution are likely to attract businesses. And the rationale for this is pretty simple. One, if you're an investor, you want to invest in a country where, in the event a dispute arises, you have ace of access to courts. That's one. Number two, you have ace of access to procedural justice, fairness. You want to invest in a country where, in the event that a dispute arises, and disputes are inevitable. Disputes are inevitable.
Yes.
There is no immune or there is no vaccine against disputes or conflicts. So it's a critical part and parcel of our lives. So disputes will always be there.
All right. James, maybe you can let us know, in your time as a mediator, what are some of the biggest disputes that we encounter in the business world?
Thank you very much. Having practiced mediation for over 25 years now, what I see most in the business world, disputes in regard to interpretation of contracts. That's a breach of contract issues. We have disputes related to failure to pay, especially in the banking sector. We have mortgage, and failure to pay mortgages, loans, etc. We have cases to do with construction disputes, mega construction disputes, misinterpretation of the terms, variation of terms, issues to do with mergers and acquisition of companies. So there are myriad of disputes that occur in the commercial sector that can be resolved in an easier way. That's through the process of mediation. In fact, most countries have gone ahead of us. We are still following up. Kenya should have signed the Singapore Mediation Convention by now, because most investors coming into the country have an issue. Any agreements that are done within the country cannot be executed outside this jurisdiction, and that's serious. If Kenya was a signatory to the Singapore Convention, it means any agreements that are done through mediation can be executed in China, in other places. That brings public confidence, and it gives our country a reputation. We have not developed that yet.
There was a Singapore, you've called it a Singapore what now?
Singapore Mediation Convention.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you ever know of such a thing?
I'm knowing now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is something that happened, how long ago?
It's almost 5-6 years now.
Okay.
And Uganda has signed and ratified. The Singapore Convention is seated at the Attorney General's office. The Attorney General is supposed to mobilize, because they are mediation experts in the country.
Of Kenya,
yes.
Okay.
They should mobilize so that at least we sign it. Apart from that, there is also another convention that was signed, promulgated recently, and we happened to sign, which was spearheaded by China.
Yes.
And all these are meant to create an environment in the country where we can create confidence for the investors. When we have things like investor-state disputes, all these matters are referred to arbitration. And arbitration is a quasi-judicial process like a court.
Yes.
And there's a problem because people sometimes think they should prefer going to court, because sometimes in arbitration, an arbitrator can make a ruling. The ruling can be challenged in the High Court, and that ends up prolonging the process. When we allow mediation to come in and resolve these international disputes,
Right.
first of all, mediation is faster. It preserves relationships. People who come to do business in our country need to resolve their disputes and maintain relationships. Number three, mediation can bring creative solutions. It gives us remedies that are beyond the scope of the judicial process. I wonder why people still believe mediation to be a small sister to arbitration or litigation. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, mediation is superior to all of them, because when you empower parties to make their own decisions,
Yes.
they tend to respect those decisions better than when a third party
Makes it for them.
yes, put this down your throat. And that's what usually happens, and that's why you have prolonged litigation, protracted litigation, because people then have to appeal because they are dissatisfied with the decision of an individual.
Okay.
And this individual making decisions probably may not understand the substratum of the dispute. I think it's high time people realize the superiority of mediation,
Yeah.
because it is a self-determinative process, and people tend to respect those processes where they are being directly involved in making decisions.
Victor, perhaps you can give us some highlights of this Singapore document, if you may.
Thank you. So the Singapore Convention is a multilateral agreement that was signed in Singapore. That's why it's called the Singapore Convention. And the basis or the premise of the Singapore Convention is an agreement for the enforcement of mediation settlements.
Okay.
Right? So assuming we here are business partners from different countries, and a dispute arises, and disputes will always arise, and correct me if I'm wrong, and we decide and choose to go for mediation in Uganda, and our business is here in Kenya. So how do you enforce an agreement that was arrived at between amongst ourselves and a mediator from Uganda here in Kenya? So the Singapore Convention seeks to address such kinds of gaps.
Okay.
Right? And the problem it's trying to solve is that you can have a mediation in Kisii somewhere between somebody from the US and somebody from here, and this mediation agreement can actually be enforced in the United States. So that is the basis or the fulcrum behind the Singapore Convention. And quite a number of countries across the world have actually ratified.
Yeah.
Nigeria has ratified, and it has domesticated the Singapore Convention within its domestic laws.
So
countries like Rwanda, Uganda too have ratified this.
what's taking us too long?
Well, I can't speak for the state, I can't speak for the Office of the Attorney General.
Yeah.
But what I can say is it's about time that we ratified the Singapore Convention.
But Victor, I mean, someone within your should I call it? Someone must have reached out to them and just asked them. I mean, guys, what's taking too long? Because this is something that, if I go by your words, James, something that was completed 6 years ago, this convention, right? So if we have the document here in Kenya, and you've said that it is sitting in the AG's office, or did you mean that it is there with the AG, or it is somewhere on its way to the AG, or what did you mean exactly?
It's there with the AG. And it's good to be blunt sometimes. You know, in this country, some people believe that unless they do something, nothing can be done.
Okay.
And we don't take the experts. We don't consult experts, because I don't know why we still believe that if anything has to be done, we have to go to our colonialists in Britain or other places to get people there to come and help us do it, when we are experts within the country. In fact, some other people from other parts of the world consult us as experts. So the issue is that we are available in the country, we are ready to assist, but then who then reaches out to the experts to be able to assist? You know, there is what we call the doctrine of gatekeeping. You just have you have something that needs to be done, but you keep it to yourself. You don't consult. Or I don't know if it's the issue of trust or it's the issue of competition. I don't understand. But what I can tell you is that we are capable of rolling out the Singapore Convention in the country, because we have enough expertise in this country, and what the Attorney General needs to do is just to reach out to us as private consultants to assist him put this thing into place. And that's what Uganda has done and other countries. They reached out to experts. Not everybody within the Attorney General chambers or within the government or the executive has the expertise to roll this thing out. We are ready to do that, and that's the reason why we come to these radio stations and everywhere, is to be able to pass the message those people who are concerned, and telling them that other countries are growing because they consult stakeholders, they consult experts to put things in place. We are here. Help. Ask for help and we'll come in and put things in place. Otherwise, the longer we are taking putting these things in place, we are discouraging foreign investors who will have come to invest in our country to come and do business here, because they are afraid that we do not have a mechanism that can resolve conflicts that are inevitable when in this business environment.
There was a mediation summit last week. I don't know if you folks are part of it.
I was one part of the panelists.
Yes.
And I clearly indicated that in this country we need a mediation act, a standalone mediation act. We cannot mix mediation with arbitration, because arbitration has got its own act, or conciliation or tradition or dispute resolution mechanisms. In many other countries like India and other parts of the world, they have established a mediation act, but it was not a walk in the park, because people have different interests. You remember, we have had a mediation act presented in Parliament 4 times previously, but you realize that when it comes to Parliament, the people who are behind it want their interests protected. In the process, it is thrown out.
What do you mean, the people behind it? MPs, you mean?
No, I'm talking about the people who draft the bill. You find they are put in some clauses that sometimes offend some part of the society, and in the process it doesn't sail through Parliament. So I think the best thing we can do now is to swallow our pride, okay? Sit down as a community of mediators, work as a unit, work on a proper document. All these institutions coming up with different documents, you now sit down together. We come up with a document and we mobilize our members of Parliament by educating them and sensitizing them about this process, so that we have an bill that is placed in Parliament that will sail through, because that bill then will control the quality of the mediators that we train. It will put standards of practice, and mediation will come will also be a respected profession like others. I've seen other jurisdictions where they started in a wrong footing. There was no regulation. We did not institutionalize mediation, so everybody was a trainer. We generated so many people into the field, and they brought the reputation of mediation. The public realized that most of the mediators that were in the field were unqualified. They were quacks. Therefore, they lost confidence in mediation in that country, and mediation was regarded as anything else. People went back to court. We don't want to go the route those countries have gone. We want to do it right, and the only way we can do it right is having a standalone mediation act that regulates the standards of training, regulates the standards of practice, so that Kenya can also be at the same level as other countries like Brazil, like India and others. And I know there are people of goodwill in this country who are ready to sit down and we work together as a unit and make this a reality.
Okay. Victor, did you attend that mediation summit last week?
Yes, I did, and I was a panel speaker too.
All right. Did this issue of Singapore come up?
Yes, it came up.
Right. Was anyone from the AG's office there?
We didn't have anyone from the AG's office, but we had one person from the National Center for International, Nairobi Center for International Arbitration, and he sort of spoke about the significance of signing or ratifying the Singapore Convention. Because as it is right now, we are not part and parcel of the global community and global practice, because that is the intent and purpose of the Singapore Convention. Create a community across the world of mediation practitioners on issues to do with state-investor disputes, on issues to do with ace of commercial dispute resolution, and so on and so to speak. Here is my takeaway from the summit.
Right.
And this is why it's important that we get to have such national conversations. I look at the US today, which is one of the most admired, celebrated, and advanced mediation jurisdiction across the world. And I've been to the US a couple of times. I've seen what mediators are doing. I've seen what mediation is doing to the economy and to Americans, and so on and so to speak. America, about 5 or 6 decades ago, had what they call the famous pound conference.
Okay.
And that is a conversation that sort of consolidated this movement that today we see as a mediation jurisdiction in the US. So having such summits, conferences, discussions are very important, as we are having right here, right now. This is how we consolidate and build confidence of the public into such kind of processes. So that's, the long and short to your answer is, I was there. We did not have anyone from the Attorney General's office, and I stand to be corrected.
All right.
How many conventions are there beyond the Singapore Convention, or is it just the only convention that exists in matters regarding mediation?
A good question. There are multiple conventions out there, or treaties as we would call them in international law, quite a number of them. Why the Singapore Convention is more significant? One, it's the most recent document. Two, it's because of its consequences, because what it seeks to do is build a global community. And number three, it's because of the fact that the Singapore Convention has been ratified by quite a number of nations.
Let's talk about jurisdictions like continents. Is there any continent on planet Earth where you do not have people who've ratified the Singapore Convention?
There are quite a number of nations across the world that are yet to ratify the Singapore Convention.
My question actually is, let's look at the EU as an entity.
Right.
Are there countries in the EU who have ratified the Singapore
Yes,
Convention?
there are countries within the EU that have.
If you look at the
ratified.
Americas, are there countries in Americas who have ratified this convention?
Yes, Ecuador.
Yes. You see, now, the reason why your response makes sense, I needed to understand that this convention is something that countries around the world have rallied behind.
Right.
And so it makes it possible
Right.
for someone to enjoy that grouping or that family
Yes.
that now exists and who are brought together by this particular convention.
Yes.
So that you don't need another convention from another place that has been ratified. So you're saying because this convention is the latest, it has, what's the term I'm looking for? It's all encompassing. People who seek to ply their trade universally would find this particular convention perhaps more suitable to their needs than any other convention that exists.
Yes. And we have other conventions.
Yes,
and
it
treaties.
does.
Yes.
Okay.
We have other treaties like the UNCINTRAL model that was signed in New York.
When was it signed?
This was, I'm not so sure about the dates.
It is
but should be 2018 or something.
Yes.
Right.
So why is it that we keep having these conventions, and why is it that new ones keep coming up? What is it that they're improving on the previous ones? What is it that they saw with the one that existed before them for them now to enact or to bring up a new one?
I mean, maybe before James comes in, mediation is an evolving profession, just like other professions are. It's an evolving practice, and laws or international global instruments must evolve to new realities. When mediation began, it was seen as a community practice. But right now it has evolved, it has grown to a point where we are now having state investor disputes that can actually be resolved through mediation. So the long and short to your answer is, it's an evolving practice, just as human beings are evolving entities.
We are evolving.
Yeah.
We are evolving.
Human beings actually don't.
I can add on something.
I'm coming back to you. Yes, go on, James.
So I'm saying other treaties previously used to encompass ADR, alternative dispute resolution. And when we talk about alternative dispute resolution, we are talking about mediation, arbitration, conciliation, adjudication, and many others. The Singapore Convention has isolated mediation. People have come to realize now that among all these alternative dispute resolution processes, mediation is superior. And I don't mince my words to tell you that, because if you look at other processes like conciliation, a third party proposes a solution and drives parties to that solution. If you come to arbitration, a third party makes a decision on behalf of others. The same thing happens to litigation. But look at mediation, where you empower parties to come up with a solution of their own. Look at mediation that deals with the issues of preservation of relationships. Look at mediation that deals with speed. So there are so many advantages in mediation that the world has realized its importance. And that's why nations have come together to say, well, we used to treat mediation as a small sister to arbitration, and that is now a profession. And because it's a profession, and it appears to be impressed with many international organizations to resolve international commercial disputes, why don't we institutionalize it? So they have come up with a treaty and said, well, because most countries are engaged internally in mediation, and because now we have what we call international trade, people are crossing borders, why don't we have agreements made through the process of mediation be in a position to be executed or implemented outside those particular jurisdictions? That was the main purpose why they came up with the Singapore Convention. And they said, let all these nations that trade together sign a treaty, say that if I go to Uganda right now and mediate a dispute and the parties sign the mediation agreement, I can cross over to this country and have it executed. And most countries have grown. Look at Singapore itself, where we made this. Look at India. Look at other places. Now, the Singapore Convention has put some level of efficacy in the process of mediation. It has given it some kind of sanction. Now, people respect the process early. In fact, people used to say that mediation is where I just greet your hand and I move on. No longer that. Any agreement that you reach in mediation is legally binding, is a contract enforced by law. And then even our own courts have gone to the extent of saying you cannot appeal against a mediation agreement because you are not being forced to sign it. You're signing it out of your own volition. That's why even before people sign, we say let them reach what we call Pareto optimality. Allow them to revise and improve the agreement so that they don't regret signing it. And once they sign it, the courts are not going to entertain any other further litigation. That makes the process more respectful. So if you see other countries saying let's sign this thing known as the Singapore Mediation Convention, it's because they have realized how important and how powerful the process of mediation is. And why not? Why don't we then have agreements signed in one country being executed in another? And that's the gist of this process.
James, if I bring this discussion to Kenya, if we were to look at dispute resolutions in this country, whether it is within the court system, whether it is through arbitration or mediation, what percentage, no, let me revise the question. How useful has mediation been to this process of resolving disputes within the country of Kenya? How?
There is a report that came from the judiciary that mediation has released billions of shillings that were being stuck in the court system back to the economy. Because some of these complex commercial disputes, the courts were afraid of referring to mediation. But now that most judges are embracing mediation,
why were they afraid?
It's because most of them did not understand how powerful this process was. We have taken too long to sensitize the public. You see, it's now that even the media is, you're allowing us to come and tell the public. In fact, 80% of the Kenyans do not know that mediation exists.
James,
that's why we are being told. That's why we are being told. Everybody. If I differ with you, what first thing you will tell me is that see you in court. What we see in TV stations is things like Vioja Mahakamani, because we already know that if somebody messes up with you, let's go before a magistrate or a judge. Have we told people in Kiswahili something like mchakato wa upatanishi? Kusuluhisha mizozo ama migogoro kwa njia ya uwiano. We don't have such a thing in our TV stations. We need to come up with a program. In fact, I'll even be requesting Radio Generation if we can work together with the ICMC and Mediation Training Institute and come up with a series of mediation programs on TV. You can run that, and then we can educate the public about this process so that people, when they have disputes, instead of rushing to court, they can go to a mediation center in your village where we have trained mediators who can be able to resolve your disputes. And the courts have been very good and gracious to us because they have improved the laws. Once you have a private settlement agreement, you can bring it to court. The court can convert it into a judgment. So because we have the laws improved and they have been done, why don't we embrace that process? Like now, a land matter, A land matter can take 17 to 20 years in court. Something that you can resolve in one afternoon. And once you have agreed, reduce that into writing, get it filed in court as a consent judgment, and the case is finished. Do the Kenyans really know about this? Even the Bible says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. That's the reason where we are on radio generation today, to tell people that there's a better way of resolving disputes, just like John the Baptist in the desert telling people about the coming of Jesus. Let me tell you the truth. My people perish because of lack of knowledge. Kenyans do not know how powerful the process of mediation is. The sooner we embrace this process, our courts will have limited amount of cases to do. We'll improve the efficiency of our courts. Our courts are overwhelmed. Judges and magistrates are receiving several cases on the table, and some of them are even developing high blood pressure. Things that can be resolved through mediation. Not only will it give us cheap justice as provided for under Article 48 of our Constitution, it will reduce the backlog in cases and improve the efficiency of our court system. Why don't we embrace something like this?
Okay. Where?
You know, you put it well.
Yes.
And I'm glad you've understood and stated that understanding by saying those of you who are mediators or who are in that sphere have not done enough to let people know. Because if you're talking about an ADR that is easily cascaded to the community level, it is mediation.
Exactly.
And so long as it remains highbrow and so long as it's seen as something that is out of reach of many people. Now, let me ask a question. Beyond the training, because you need to be trained as a mediator.
Yes.
Now, it doesn't take the number of years that it takes for someone to be trained as a lawyer.
Yes.
Why not? What is it that you train people in that requires the time that you allocate for it? And why that particular length of time?
I just want to break it down in the simplest way so that the public can understand. When you step into Class CT, for us to train you as a mediator, you already have 50% of the skills.
I do.
Yes.
How do you know that?
You have been solving disputes. I think your white hair indicates that. You have been solving disputes all your life. You have what we call social and emotional intelligence.
James, the white hair just means I'm old.
Yeah, no. You are wise. It's a sign of wisdom.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm saying this. You have what
Why
we call
is this man nodding on my behalf?
Because I have seen you mediate fights here in the streets of Nairobi, so yes. I know.
So, exactly, you see. So what I'm saying is this, CT, when you come to our class, you already have what we call social and emotional intelligence. Social intelligence is the ability to understand other people's emotions, so that knowledge you can use it in a social interaction. Emotional intelligence is understanding your own emotions, so that you can use that knowledge in decision making. When we combine two, we call it intuition. Intuition is fixed by the University of Life. You don't go to school. It's the way you interact with people all the time. Now, what we add you in class for those 5 days plus the number of days we take you through mentorship is what we call behavioral technology. How to influence human behavior. A simple psychological concept. And once we teach you that, you combine behavioral technology with your social and emotional intelligence, you are complete. You are complete. What you only need is confidence to be able to handle that. I'm telling you this because I've been training mediators for 24 years. I've written books and done all that. I can tell you that people doubt themselves. You already have the skills. We only need to tweak you a little and you are ready to go. And you'll see it when you are helping people resolve disputes, when you see people smiling after going through a very hard patch of their lives.
You know, James, you'd make a very good prosperity evangelist.
And maybe just to add on James, what James is saying,
yes.
The 40-hour training is just an entry into the career. I took my course about 10 years ago, and after that, I am involved in continuous learning. My first course I took with Mr. James Mangerer, MTI. I've done a course with Harvard. I've done other multiple courses.
On mediation?
On mediation.
Why?
Because I am constantly evolving with the current practice.
So what is it that has happened as you have enhanced your knowledge on the subject matter? What is the output that you now have that you didn't have before?
A new expertise, because the practice is ever evolving. When I did the 40-hour mediation training, it was just for basic disputes. But we realize that there are much complex disputes that would require a certain amount of expertise. Right now, the world is talking about AI dispute resolution. What that means is I need to go back to my toolbox and retool myself. And this is where continuous learning becomes important for every professional.
Let me ask this question. If it is, as you say, something that people who come for the course are latent within themselves, have the ability to, they have 50% of the ability that is required, why then is it then that this particular discipline is not spoken of in the institutions of learning?
Let me tell you one thing. I can answer that. You know, in law school, for example, in the university, they have it as a unit. They have not known the importance of this. That's why he's telling you about the evolving of this process. A few years ago, people used to think that mediation was, we have been doing mediation. You know, remember after the post-election violence, till 2008, I was, MTI, East Africa, was hired by the National Legal Aid Commission and the European Union. We went around this country teaching Council of Elders in community mediation. I remember the first training I did was in Kisumu, where I trained the Luya, Luo, Kisi, and Nandi elders there. I made the Council of Elders there. And once, while I was training them in community mediation, I also wanted to hear from them how have they been handling disputes even prior to this knowledge that I was giving them. And they told me they used to listen to people, and then the elders could make decisions. Well, that's what we call quasi-arbitration, where a third party makes a decision. And I gave them a better way of resolving disputes where they empower parties to make decisions on their own. And I'm sure after that, so many elders went out and have helped resolve community disputes using the process of mediation. These principles have been existing, only that the only difference was that in our community, in our African context, elders used to make decisions. And mediation differs a little from the point of elders making decisions, where you empower parties to make their own decisions. So this, what people really need to know is that when people are allowed to make their decisions, those decisions tend to stick than where a third party who may not understand the substratum of the dispute is forced to lord over other people and make a decision for them. And I have seen this for a while. Whenever you allow people to make their own decisions, you preserve their dignity. They feel good about it.
You get them to own the process.
To own the process.
Yes.
And you see, most of the cases, especially from court, you can go and get a judgment. And I've seen people getting judgment, especially in succession matters. The judge says, I divide this property this way. You go home and the wazir will say, nonsense. We'll do it on our own way. You can even use the police. I have a case somewhere in Voi, which was very interesting, and it's good probably I can tell you in 1 second if time allows.
Time allows?
Yes. In this case, somebody sold ancestral land without informing his wife and children. And when he sold that land, he sold all of it.
Oh dear.
And then the guy who bought the land went and processed the title deed.
Oh dear again. So
it processed the title deed, and the person who had sold the land died. So during the funeral, the new owner comes to the title deed and tells the widow, complete your mourning and leave slowly. I don't want any kind of hula baloo. This is my title deed. What the wife said, the widow said is, did you also buy all these 9 graves that you can see? Because there were 9 graves on that piece of property. The guy said, I don't care. I have my title deed. The widow told this gentleman, you made a mistake. Here we don't sell ancestral land. So you have lost your money. So this guy went to the chief, and the chief happened to be one of the mediators I trained in community mediation during that time of post-election violence. So the chief came and asked that guy and told the new purchaser that here we don't sell ancestral land. So you made a mistake. The guy went to court, filed a suit, served the family with the papers, and the family told him clearly, here we don't sell ancestral land. So not even the court can get us out of this place. So the guy went to court. The family didn't file any papers. They got what we call an ex parte judgment. They got a decree and applied that they be escorted by the OCBD, Voi police station. And people were informed in the village. So they waited for them on a Thursday morning. Here is a guy, he went into the town and brought a few boys, put them in a lorry. They want to go and they fix the family. When they arrived there, they found more than 1,000 community members waiting for them. They were carrying spears, arrows, stones, sticks, all crude weapons. So one of the spokespersons from that community came and told the OCPD, "But OCPD, I know today you have come for a fight. Let us fight. Once we finish, we'll talk." The OCPD said, "No way. I can't shed blood for the property of one single." He told this gentleman, "Take these orders back to court and tell the court that these orders are incapable of execution." The guy walked around with those orders for almost 6 years until I trained another group of mediators in Voi, and it was on TV. So he went back to the chief and asked the chief, "Bwana Chief, you mean I can lose my property? I can't even get something out of this." The chief told him, "Please come and see the elders on Monday. Tell them maybe they can help you." So the elders told him, "When you come with your title deed, original, and the court order." So he came with them on Monday. He arrived there and the elders told him, "Did that title deed help you?" He said, "No." 6 years? No. "Do you want us to help you?" "Yes." "Tear it into pieces." The guy tore it, threw it into a dustbin. Did that court order help you?" "No." "Tear it into pieces, put it in the dustbin." And then they told him, "Now that you have shown respect, we'll ask the 2 mediators among the ones who were trained, please go and see the family. Whatever you agree, the Wazes will ratify." So they went with 2 mediators who engaged them in a productive conversation. And their family agreed to give him 50 by 100, a very small piece of property towards the edge of the property. The guy said, "This at least cleans my tears." So he came and appealed there. After 2 years, his son married from this family. That boundary was eventually removed. You see how community mediation is powerful? What the courts and what the titles could not do, community mediation is able to give you permanent solutions to disputes.
When you train community members,
yes,
is there follow-up?
Of course, in MTI, we have refresher courses every year that are compulsory.
Every year?
Every year. And then number 2, we have the largest library in Africa, Mediation library in Africa here in Nairobi. I have collected all the books from all over the world. I'm also an author. I write books for them that are simplified. So we do that. I go to every part of the country, including outside the Kenya, because I have trainees in Zambia, Uganda, and other places. I go all over, making sure that the people are trained. At least every year they go through 2 refresher courses. That's how they maintain their status as professional mediators. But because we intend to give the best to the public, we don't cut corners. The quality of the mediators must always be maintained if we have to maintain the public confidence of this process.
James, how do you measure success in this line of work that you're in?
See, success in mediation is when you see people who are in turmoil now hugging each other and living in harmony. We are peacemakers. Even the Bible says peacemakers will be called children of God. That in itself has got its own satisfaction.
Unacheza ukipata bibi na mtu mlikuwa mmekosana naye. Not only do you get shamba yako, well, he didn't get the whole shamba, but not only do you get the shamba, but you get a wife from there. And you still get to inherit that land.
What if I already have a wife?
You can get a second wife.
Or for your son.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You can get a second wife, CT. Yeah, but I like that story.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a nice story.
Yeah, it is. It is actually a
The reason why I ask is this. If I look at the issues that take people to court, very many of them don't even need to go anywhere near court.
Exactly.
So, my question is, how do you train people who are understood to be wazes in all these 47 counties that we have? Not just to train, how do you train these people to also be trainers? Because then you spread the gospel of mediation properly.
In the year 2003, I think it was the Ndugu Society of Kenya that hired me to train elders from the Kibera Mediation Kibera Center there. I trained mediators, wazees who were there for 10 days. And the reason why I did it for 10 days is that after training them in the normal mediation process, I also gave them guidelines on how they can disseminate this information to the members of the community. So from then, we have trained many trainers. I'm not alone. We are in MTI, I think we are now 80 trainers spread all over. And these trainers, we always have a TOT program every year. Our intention is to empower parties also to disseminate this information in the community. Now, mediation is a very, like in a community mediation, out of the wazees that I trained, so though some of them are gone because of age, because long time ago, 2008 was long time ago, so most of them are gone. But for those ones who are remaining, most of them understand. We have given them a guideline on how they can disseminate this information to the members of the community.
So we can assume if they went to heaven or hell.
No, they must have gone to heaven. They are children of God.
They can sort out mediation issues up there.
Exactly. You must keep on moving
between God and Lucifer.
Yeah,
it's going to be difficult.
Do you know why this training of trainers is a subject that I'm going to go back on it for a very simple reason?
Yes.
When people own a process, then the very principles you're speaking of get entrenched in that community, and it becomes part and parcel of their way of life.
Right.
Because the traditional way of solving issues has long been overtaken by time.
Exactly.
It doesn't really hold sway in many, many instances. And as families grow, and as the pressure on land increases, and disputes also arise, these are things that require a certain frame of mind, a certain training to be able to be resolved. But it only makes sense if people know it exists.
The media can help us a great deal. In fact, I encourage the media to have as many of these, including local mother tongue stations. We want to send people out to go and tell people there is a better way of resolving it, especially in the church. Let me tell you, in our churches, you know, in churches is where we have most conflicts, because in churches you are not supposed to express yourself.
Our churches are political.
Yes,
it is not.
Yes,
they're extremely political.
In church, if you express yourself well, I think they will tell you that you are becoming a radical. So what they may need to want to tell you is just close your eyes and pray. But there are other churches that are open and democratic, where issues are dealt with. The problem with conflict, it keeps on rearing its head. You cannot bury your head like a proverbial ostrich and expect conflict to resolve themselves. The Bible itself, the book of Matthew, the book of Deuteronomy, and Proverbs tells us that as Christians, we should not take our fellow men to court, because the moment you go to court, you have already lost it. The Bible itself is a manual that guides us on how to resolve disputes. That's why we have a program in MTI of Christian mediation, where we train members of the congregation how to resolve disputes that are unique to the church environment. You have seen on TV every now and then people fighting. You saw there another case where somebody hid a knife in a Bible and had to stab somebody at the pulpit at the synagogue. Those things only happen because we tend to bury our head in the sand like a proverbial ostrich, and conflict keeps on growing. The moment judges will embrace a process where disputes can be dealt with and resolved, and the moment we become conflict competent, that's the moment we'll start having the kind of harmony that Jesus himself preached about. I have trained so many pastors and priests on how to resolve conflict, because when people come to church, they believe that if we have a conflict, the best person who can help us resolve this dispute is our pastor or our priest. Unfortunately, our pastors and priests have not been trained on how to handle and help resolve disputes. That's why I'm asking congregations in Kenya, if they can invest in training their pastors and priests on how to resolve disputes, some of these disputes will have places, judges being places of harmony, not where people fight. I saw on TV, live TV, people fighting in church. Somebody was knocked and they had to put a pipe and sit on it because they were falling. Seriously. These things are even being broadcasted on TV. Unless we embrace a conflict competent congregation, we'll have a problem. We need to train our pastors, church elders, on how to deal with and resolve conflicts in a competent way. And there's no shortcut on that if we want to create the kind of harmony that the Bible directs us to follow.
Victor, lastly, maybe you can help us have some kind of outlook. Are we probably going to see that Singapore Convention ratified anytime soon? Are there any significant steps towards it?
Thank you so much. Before I respond to that answer, let me follow up on the idea of TOTs. Quite a number of institutions are making deliberate and intentional steps to see to it that we train trainer of trainers.
Yes.
And one of such institutions is the judiciary, Strathmore, and a number of international partners that have come together to put an international mediation curriculum so that we can bring up our mediators to international standards. So that has been going on, and right now we are having a third cohort being trained, and hopefully we'll have a fourth and a fifth cohort being trained as trainer of trainers. These are essentially to be disciples who will spread the word of mediation to their communities. And the strategic thing about this program is it brings mediators from different parts of this country, which is very strategic, and that is what needs to be done. But to your question about the Singapore Convention, definitely there are steps that are being taken. I heard during the summit that in August we will have a delegation travel to Singapore during the Singapore Convention week, and hopefully that will bear fruits.
Delegation from?
From Kenya.
From the Kenyan government?
From the Kenyan government.
I see.
That will go to Singapore, and hopefully that will consolidate the ratification of the Singapore Convention, which is very important.
Yeah.
This is very significant because investors look for three fundamental things. One, they look for procedural certainty. You want to invest in a country where there is procedural certainty, fairness. Number two, you want to invest in a country where there is efficiency and effectiveness of judicial processes. You don't want to invest in a country where you'll be caught up in a litigation for the next 10 years and your investment was for 10 years. That doesn't make any sense. And number three, investors look for what we would call enforcement and compliance.
Okay.
And this is where the Singapore Convention becomes very important.
All right.
It's a way and an important instrument for growing our economy. We all know that foreign direct investment is a critical pillar of economic transformation. You look at the Vision 2030, one of the pillars is foreign direct investment. How do you make Kenya become a prime destination for foreign direct investment?
As people go to Singapore, if you're going to be part of that delegation, please ensure that the Attorney General is on that plane. Please make sure she has carried the document and a pen, just in case.
I will also be seated in that plane because they need to loop in experts. Some people may go there and listen and come back. And we've been doing that for a very long time. So we need to have experts.
It's called benchmarking.
Yeah, benchmarking, which is not helping. We need to put things. Even when we started the Court and Expedition program in this country, I was part of the people who started it. We had talked for so long. We said now, we told Justice Mtunga, then we need to have this thing put in place.
And
through a pilot program, and it came over. Involving experts is everything. That's why we are there. And we are asking the government, get in touch with us. Let's have these things moving. And as MTI and ICMC, the Institute of Judicial Mediators and Conciliators, we are always ready to assist.
All right.
Just get in touch with us.
Learned friends, thank you so much. Here as we come to a break, as far as this conversation is concerned, please stand by for the news with Winnie Maganga.
This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Post-mortem examinations conducted on April 20th, 2026 have confirmed the two people who were shot during protest at Ishara Level 4 Hospital in Mbere North, Embu County died from severe blood loss caused by gunshot wounds. The victims, identified as 21-year-old Patrick Karioki Munene and 32-year-old Morris Mugonjoka, were among residents protesting poor services at the facility. Government pathologist Dr. Grace Midigo confirmed that one victim was shot in the neck while the other was shot through the mouth with both sustaining fatal injuries.
We had 2 cases, 2 young men who had sustained gunshot injuries. One had a gunshot injury. Entry was on the anterior neck surface and exit was on the back side back. Then the other one had an entry injury through the mouth, but then there was no exit. So both of them, the cause of death was massive hemorrhage, of course, due to the single gunshot injury.
The National Taxpayers Association has accused matatu operators of unfairly increasing fares following recent fuel price hikes, warning that commuters are being overcharged. Speaking on Monday, CEO Patrick Nyangweso said the rise in diesel prices has only a small impact on cost, but operators are taking advantage to hike fares. He also questioned why even electric buses are raising prices and urged transport associations to review their charges and avoid exploiting Kenyans.
This is the time that this increase in fuel prices does not really commensurate to the salaries increment. You know what all Kenyans are going through. Would encourage the government to really consider having a policy that will allow the public service and even private sectors or the PBOs to encourage working from home. As you can see, I've implemented this as a strategy so that instead of spending the ones who are using public transport, 300 per day, and you see that comes to around over 6,000.
The government has launched its 4th Legal Aid Service Center at Nakuru GK Command Prison as part of efforts to improve access to justice for vulnerable groups. Speaking at the launch, Attorney General Dorcas Oduor said the initiative reflects the government's commitment to making justice in Kenya more inclusive, equitable and humane. The service will target prisoners and other vulnerable groups in the region, focusing on issues such as land disputes, children in conflict with law and civil cases.
Out of 1919, convicted are 939. It is not fair that 980 people in prison and they have not been convicted. Taking into account that even when you are found not guilty, how do we repair the loss?
Maybe 150 or 1,000 shillings. When this person is taken to court, they're given cash bail terms of 100,000, 200,000.
When you go to court and you're given bail terms, what comes to your mind is a title deed. But that is not the case. There are other ways of securing your appearance in court other than a title deed.
Apple has named John Tanners as its new chief executive to replace Tim Cook, who is stepping down after 15 years of leading the technology giant. Tanners, currently the head of hardware engineering, who has been at Apple for 25 years, will take over on 1st of September 2026, and Cook will become executive chairman. Cook has been the chief executive of Apple since 2011 after co-founder Steve Jobs resigned for health reasons shortly before his death. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
This is Radio Generation. Radio Generation Classifieds.
Admissions now open at Kitengela International Schools, offering